Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 82, and today we are going to be jumping into the Gauntlet. And so, as I like to say at the beginning of our Gauntlet videos, we should have video guides out there for most of this stuff. I don't feel like we have the time to get in-depth into each of the deck lists and then also get in-depth to our best of 3 strategy. And so if you're looking for each of these individual deck lists, you can just search through the channel. The second thing before we dive in, we will be talking throughout the video about the Path of Champions. We did just get a hot 3-paragraph message from Riot and the new executive producer. That's the hot thing to talk about in Runeterra these days, and we'll talk about it throughout the video, but not up here, up in the front. And so, on to the deck list. So we're going to be playing Aphelios Fizz, we're going to be playing Yuumi Pantheon, and then we're going to be playing Mono Illaoi Ionia. And the idea behind this lineup has 3 pillars to it, 3 things, 3 core ideas that are happening with this. Idea number 1 is that we're just going to ban Pantheon. If we come across Pantheon, we plan to ban it. The matchup here is pretty bad for Aphelios Fizz. It's pretty bad for Illaoi, and I don't really want to play the mirror match. And so that is what a lot of the core of this deck is built around. These decks all have terrible matchups there. If you're looking to expand upon this, you can also look to, say, a deck like Scouts. Scouts tends to have a pretty miserable Pantheon-styled lineup, and it's just one of the strategies I like to take is say, okay, the core tenet of our deck is we're just going to ban Pantheon. The second thing I think you have to take into consideration is what is your answer to Frozen Thralls. Frozen Thralls is maybe the most popular deck right now. If not, it's really pushing itself up to the top. And it's not one of these decks that has a bunch of close matchups. The matchups tend to be really polarized with the Frozen Thralls to where they either just smash you or it gets smashed. If you're really just looking to beat Frozen Thralls, that starts to open up your lineup to playing things like Blade Dance or Tokens, whatever we're calling that deck these days. Azir Aurelia just smashes the shit out of it. But the Frozen Thralls also really beats up on decks that can't win the game by like turn 8 or turn 9. Just gets too much stats on board to handle. And so you have to have a game plan for it. We've picked a lineup that can handle it okay. The Aphelios Fizz matchup is not great, but both the Pantheon matchups and the Illaoi matchups are pretty good. And so I tend to be kind of like okay with this strategy to where if our opponent really wants to bank on the strength of Frozen Thralls, they can ban out one of our good matchups. But then we still have a decent matchup and a positive matchup. And so I tend to be okay with that. I just don't want to be in a situation to where we have 2 decks that can't beat it. And so I wanted to kind of step away from that. That's why you're not seeing us play Scouts today. I feel like Scouts works really well into this ban Pantheon idea. But when one of the common really good decks just smashes Scouts, it kind of puts a damper on those plans. Now, the thing number 3 I feel like we have to talk about is the kind of rise of Disintegrate in this format. It's a card I initially thought was just going to be garbage, and that does not appear to be the case. As the meta has kind of shaken up here to where you see a lot of just big dudes, right? There's sea monsters out there, there's the Frozen Thralls, there's Yuumi Pantheon, there's the Illaoi decks. There's a lot of decks just centered on having 1 or 2 really big dudes as opposed to a go wide strategy, and Disintegrate plays nicely into that. And our game plan to Disintegrate is probably just lose. I think that's okay, right? There's only so much you can do against all these decks. The meta is so varied. I don't feel like you can come out and have your lineup ready to just beat everything. And that's kind of my idea. And so, if we're against a lineup that's playing like Annie plus Tri-Beam Ezreal, probably going to lose. If we're playing against a lineup that their Noxus component is like Ezreal Annie, and they tie it all together in the same deck, maybe we just ban that instead of Pantheon. We can kind of pick and choose that as the time comes up. But we are, identifying a weakness for our decks. That is the Disintegrate-based Noxus control-y kind of decks, and accepting that it's just bad. But I think the meta is varied enough that we should just be okay to hopefully dodge it. But that's the 3 ideas here, right? We're going to ban Pantheon. We're just going to lose to Disintegrate. We'll ban it if they don't have Pantheon, or we'll ban it if they're doubled up on it. And then we have a couple of good matchups against the Frozen Thralls. And so, with that being that, we can take a hot minute to talk about some of these deck choices real quick. Up here with the Aphelios Fizz, we are playing the version with the Winding Light. So this gives you a couple of courses of attack. If you're on the go wide plan as opposed to the more OTK Papercraft Dragon-y kind of plan, gives you a fantastic way to just come out and finish the game. And that's one of the things that I felt like this deck was always lacking. Like I think this deck is still one of the top 3 decks in the meta, and I really like the punch that the Winding Light gives to the deck. I think this is all around pretty powerful and should be something that you're really kind of considering in all of your lineups. Very strong stuff here. Deck number 2. We're playing the Yuumi Pantheon. The only difference here is we are playing the Petricite Broadwing version. I do like the ability to kind of go after our opponents and pick and choose what we're getting ourselves into combat with. Just having the kind of unit-based non-spell interactivity that you get out of the Petricite Broadwing. I think it's very important to have these cards that can come down and just pick on Annie early, while still being good against a variety of decks. I think the Broadwing is a pretty powerful way to go. And then the last one, we're running the mono Illaoi. We have kind of reworked this a little bit since the variety of versions of this we've been playing earlier. We've been bringing this to Gauntlet last week and this week. Just added in a little bit more of the, hey, protect my Illaoi kind of stuff. And so we've got the 3 full copies of Syncopation. The Spirit's Refuges are up to 2, and then we replaced out the Memory Cloak with the Nopify, not playing things like Fey Guide, and in departure from the way we were doing a lot of things, we've also taken the rallies out. But that's it. Those are the 3 decks. That's what we're doing battle with today. You all know what we have to do, though, before we dive into the games. We do have to turn something premium, pay that pay-to-win price, and I'm not even sure what's left anymore. I didn't think to stop and see before we got into the games what was available to turn premium, but I figured we'd have some tentacles, and we do. This seems like a perfect time to go and upgrade the Sea's Voice, get you all premium ready, and that is that. Let's get ourselves into battle. So, where are we at? Play. Got it. Gauntlet. We're here. Enter. The fish dragon, the wings of an angel, and wowie, it's Illaoi. So here we go, ready for battles. All right, good stuff. Can't wait to find this opponent. I hope they're as excited about this as we are. I love the best of 3 formats so much, and so and kind of like. Well, here we've got our deck lists coming up, and it immediately shows up, right? I tell you, hey. We're worried about these Noxus lineups all playing Disintegrates, and of course the first thing we come up against is the triple Disintegrate lineup, and so it just kind of is what it is. I'm going to ban out the Ezreal Caitlyn, and then we'll just kind of roll the dice against these other 2. The matchups aren't that great, but we do have some positive matchups against what's his name, Diego. We have some positive matchups against Annie, Twisted Fate. Everything is just horrible against the Tri-Beam deck. And so that is the one we'll be removing. Scary stuff. Let's start with Illaoi. This is always my favorite one to get in there. But no, my first kind of takeaway from the Path of Champions PvP is the future messaging is the guy that posted it, the new executive producer, did you can kind of do whatever you want in those videos. You get to pick and say whatever it is you choose, or unlike your little tagline at the bottom of the thing that kind of describes yourself a bit. And he felt the need to describe himself as a former Magic the Gathering Pro Tour competitor. I think that's probably pretty positive for you if you're into the competitive scene. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see things regarding like tournaments or competitive play, things within the game to kind of drive that PvP atmosphere. And so that was kind of like my first takeaway as you go to the very bottom. I don't know who the old executive producer was or what their deal is, but that was the first thing I noticed about this guy. It's like I don't remember who the previous executive producer was, and if they were even really out there commenting on things. It doesn't seem like the previous executive producer made a lot of videos. I know that like some people, there's been some people like leaving Riot here recently, and so I'm not sure if the old one left or changed positions or what the deal was there. But we can deal with this. It was, I think, kind of interesting to note his. You can put anything in there. You can say, I've played games for all my life. I love playing card games and stuff. I play board games on the weekends. Like you can put whatever you want into your thing. But he felt the need to make note of his desire to play competitive card games. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But all right, getting ourselves into the game here. We got lots of expensive interactivity, and so I'm just kind of like in go for it mode here with Illaoi. I was going to say, if our opponent gives us the opportunity to come in and just attack with Illaoi, I'm fine with just like going for it or fine with passing, but not too troublesome here. But we just didn't have the mana to really get her nice and protected. We should be able to kind of swing around with this a couple of turns from now. Maybe. Maybe. All right, I feel better now. Being able to get a syncopate or whatever we need to protect Illaoi definitely feels good.
Want to skip class?
We could skip class, or we could bring the school down.
I'm going for a walk.
Interesting. Why does he attack with the Spellslinger into our tentacle? I think we just skip over this. I don't want our tentacle to get disintegrated here. It's just a point of damage coming from the Spellslinger. And then I want to be able to, on the next turn, at least boost our Illaoi with the Tentacle's power. And so if he's going to block and play a Disintegrate, that's fine. But I want to at least get some of these bonuses out of our units. There we go.
Navigator, if you are here, the dead cannot be far behind.
Yes, I bring ill tidings.
All right.
A boring one.
Let's see where this boom gets us. It's like our tallness is about to just get devastated, but we should be able to at least protect from one card. Okay.
Hold it, partner.
Okay, Twisted Fate. You just continue to be a big lame-o.
Easy.
I don't think we're too worried about this. I'm curious what card he plays, if any. We do have the Spirit's Refuges, which would be the ideal kind of protection mode. But we can also play a Syncopate to just push his blocks in a different direction. I think we'll go with the Spirit's Refuge. It protects us from Disintegrate, and it protects us from the Twisted Fate itself. Okay. Sure. I don't really feel like that was a concession worthy place, but opponent was not happy with how they sequenced things. Oh, he just completely gives up. We got the rage quit. Feels good. Feels good, man. Oh my god, we just have to play the same stuff again? Oh my gosh, at least we can ban out the Ezreal, the Ezreal Annie as opposed to one of these other decks. At least he's combined the Ezreal into something else that's a little problematic. But no, like in terms of like playing competitive stuff, right? I feel like that seeing that guy be the executive producer is a good thing. He's got the desire for the competitiveness to be there. Like I can say personally, like what being a competitive magician was to me, and that was like just such a gigantic part of my life growing up, and is what has kind of molded and melded me into what we are today. Just like growing up, it was so important in my life and my social circle and making friends and everything. And then it was just like all tied to competitive Magic. And so, like, if that's like the guy's like feeling, and I feel like it's a pretty big push towards perhaps having these things like best of 3 gauntlets just existing, or updating the game tournament thing, or the thing that's always like weirded me out is like, why doesn't Riot just have some kind of like money sink that isn't cosmetics? And so if you want to play in some kind of tournament event, then sure, there, give us some coins, and so I wouldn't be surprised to see some of those things kind of like pushing their way into the game, just as a means to kind of like drive that competitive focus. But all right, we're up against what I assume is the concurrent timelines. That's what you typically see when it's Trundle P and Z. I'm not sure if I've run into this Caitlyn version anytime recently, but as the timelines comes down, it should now be obvious that's what we're battling. I'm curious what the win rate of this deck looks like when it does have it and when it doesn't. I've run into lots of situations to where they just don't draw the timelines, and they're just playing a bunch of shitty cards at that point. This is fine. Not going to play a Fortune Croaker. I want to get the full collection of stats from the Watchful Idol, and now we're in a spot to where we can Fortune Croak the Tentacle, and then we can be ready for stuff with like Syncopate. I think this is good. Feels like a bit of a bait on the previous turn.
If I kill you, I will fortune, stupid.
All right, reasonable enough. All right, deck, give us something cool. Eye of Nagakaboros. It's okay. I mean, we can bring in an attack. I think the key thing with this turn is we can play the Eye and then still have Syncopation mana behind. So if he's like Herder, it's a Mystic Shot, we can still get out of this, and we'll still have our big unit. Say, boom, take the damages. That's the way it's said, in case you weren't familiar. Just wish we had a little bit more protection in this hand. A little scary when it comes time to them dropping 3 sisters on our big Illaoi or something. We don't have too many tools in hand to protect from it. Oh, not a bad upgrade though. Getting the Flame Chompers and the Broadwing. One of the premier 2-drops. All right, friend. We're going to have to use a Will of Ionia. I'm not letting you take down the tentacle. I would assume this is going to be an open. Nope. All right.
One step ahead.
So our new question is, are we in like go for it mode, right? If we go into next turn, we can ghost plus spawn 2 and then hit for 7 and then try and ghost again on the following turn. I think that's where we're going to be. Like, our hand just doesn't do anything. And so we don't have to go for the burst play. We could go for, say, like a Tentacle Strike into a burst, or a Tentacle Strike into a ghost. But it's a little frightening. I'm curious if he's going to spend mana Because the thing we have to worry about with this kind of angle is if he's going to drop a Three Sisters on us. That would be fairly devastating. Yeah, I mean, our hand just doesn't do anything. Nothing better than being all in, am I right? Nothing better. Here it comes. Okay. Part 1 is achieved. You just gotta make it through the next round. Okay. We're definitely like protected from damage, right? We have the what do you call it? Spirit's Refuge to barrier block something and gain a ton of health. So I feel okay in those terms. Illaoi's nice to see. And I'm trying to like envision what their burn package is. I don't think they burn us out from 4, but it is something to worry about. So it's like I'm leaning now. I don't want to play Illaoi. I want our mana to just be kind of like safe and strong. Ooh, we got a elusive maker, but I think I just want to drop like the hired gun, and now we'll have opportunities to protect in 2 ways. Like if we can bank into next turn, I'll feel a little bit safer as well. Like if we get an attack with a ghosted tentacle plus Illaoi. Just going hard, aren't you? You did hit a spell. That's pretty scary, actually. All right, let's add another dude.
I don't change things, but I can see it.
I wonder if we can get away without even having the tentacle enter combat. Interesting. He keeps his trundle well protected. Okay. It's interesting. He like protects Trundle in place of Caitlyn. All right, boys, girls, fellas, ladies, anything in between, anything on the outsides. Everybody's got butt cheeks. Let's squeeze them. That's what life's all about, am I right? You've got to squeeze them cheeks every once in a while. Now, with this, I'm going to use the Spirit's Refuge. We can get out of this with the Twin Disciplines, but that then opens our tentacle up to dying to Mystic Shots. And so I'm going to go ahead and play the more expensive one to protect the tentacle from just like every burn spell that he could possibly have. Now, I still have this worry that we're going to run into a Three Sisters. But, man, I mean, Illaoi doesn't fix the problem. I think this is still okay, though. It's like, he does get the opportunity to drop Ice Pillar. Man, maybe we should have just opened. Yeah, this is the big decision of the game. But it's like, do we ever... it's tough. I don't know. It is pretty free for him to just drop the pillar. It's Rasa. Okay. Okay. At least this isn't horrible if he has the Three Sisters. Oh, just win. Don't even bother thinking about it. Just get it in there and have it happen. Good. Rip it. Okay, okay.
Look and see the glory of Nagakaboro.
And getting all these text messages from the grocery store. I love these services to where you just put it all online and then you just show up 3 hours later and they hand you all your food. It's like the I don't know if it's the greatest thing to come out of the pandemic, but I mean I certainly love it. I'm certainly glad that this is a world we live in now to where you just type your grocery order in online and show up a little bit later. I don't mind it. Like I don't mind going to the grocery store and stuff, but it's a great feature. You ask me. Whoever came up with that should definitely get a raise. All right, not a great start though. I was looking for some of our cheaper plays, our Saga Seekers, our Mountain Goats, our Petricite Broadwings. None of it turned up. We can't really get started until turn 3, but kind of is what it is, as they say. They probably don't have all my good vegetables. That's why they're sending me all these messages. They say, "Bust, we don't got your vegetables, bruh." No veggies for you today. For me, it's always beans. Like, they never have the beans I want. Remember to eat your beans. They help you shit and stuff, and they taste good. I'm here with the hard hitting advice that everyone loves to hear. Eat your beans. They taste good. They help you shit good. They're cost effective as well. All right. Well, we can't worry about the likes of Vengeances anymore. We have to get something going, and our something going is going to be the Zenith Blade. It is what it is. They play 2 copies of Vengeance. If they have it, they have it. So I don't think we're in a great spot to recover out of this one. We'll, of course, try. But this is just one of those games where I feel like we mulliganed into a bad start. And if they have one of their 2 cards they need, then they'll probably just win the game. But this is still manageable. Especially if he doesn't open here. Like, I'm not amped about having to try and Pale Cascade this guy. So this additional time is kind of nice. I guess he does have some opportunities to just punch in here, but it's going to hook us into the small ones. Okay. Fall to 8. It's got more cards. Sure. All right, Yuumi, are you ready to battle? We got a high roll, so I appreciate anything that you can do. Okay, let's get ourselves this delightful source of damage. Is it just really gonna be the second Vengeance? Okay. Okay. If that's the way life is, that's the way it is. I don't make up the rules. Stun, sure. It's tempting to go ahead and drop the second Zenith Blade. Like, I don't think we can, though. With him having the Spiderling on the board, I think we have to just we either have to Cataclysm down the Elise or we have to projectile down the Spiderling. I don't think we can play too defensively here with something like Zenith Blade. I think I'm just going to go with the Cataclysm and try and take down the Elise. So if his next turn evolves into something like, hey, here's my Vigio, then we aren't like, oh, fuck, we either have to have a good Cataclysm now or we have to have a Hush to take the Challenger effects off of the Elise. As it stands now, we can just block with a We can block a Vigio with the Bright Steel Protector. So our unit's gonna die. Okay. All right. Not ideal. Not ideal. Oh, we just have we just have additional Elises. Okay. Good job, guy. That one is it is what it is how that game has to kind of go. Oh, where are we at? All right. Well, let's see. Let's see if you can't carry us to the victory zone here against old Trundle. Pantheon's victory zone. Let's see if we can't get in there. There we go. There's some cheaper plays. Where were you at last game, they say?
Come out from your shadows, demon.
Come out from your shadows, demon. Naga Kaboros. That's what this guy says. Whoever at Riot decided to put all these voice lines in the game, they deserve a raise too. You deserve it, my friend at Riot. Alright, reasonable enough spot to open. Do we just go big here? I mean, I kind of like it. He doesn't have the concurrent timeline to draw this game. And I think I'm okay with just trading away one of our Bright Steels for the Vulpine Wanderer. Chunking in for a ton of damage here. Like, what's he going to do? Play Caitlyn? That sounds real shitty. If he has a Mystic Shot, we can play around it. Like, if we attack with everyone, he blocks with the Bright... Like, blocks with Bright Steel, plays Mystic Shot, we can get around that a bit. Like, this all seems really good.
We will slow them.
Alright, we'll let that one go. We are a little light on stuff to do, and we picked up the Pantheon, and so I would like to be able to get the Pantheon targets for turn 7 attacks. Do we ever just play Pantheon here? Like, I don't think this guy's ever going to attack. Maybe we save him for next turn. No! Lame, dude. Lame.
I dropped everything.
Wow. Wow. And he hits a Callous a Bone Crusher. Okay, dude. Okay. That's how it's going to be today. That was pretty crushing. The single combat, not quite what we're looking for. Fuck. It's just like, how screwed are we if this Saga Seeker attack fails? We might be okay. Let's see what we cycle into. Zenith Blade. Okay, let's keep it up. He can Mystic Shot down the Saga Seeker, right? If he wants to put the Bone Crusher in front of Saga Seeker, but that feels like a pretty dangerous line. Goes for the Flash Freeze. Okay. Alrighty. Feels good to see at least a Three Sisters come out. It was a little worrisome with this Bone Crusher, but I'm curious if the kind of preemptive Three Sisters, if you will, means that they just have a second one in hand. Curious on the idea behind that one. It's like that was most certainly not going to be like a lethal turn. He was just protecting his Caitlyn. Caitlyn seems fairly unimportant here. And the fancier. Lots of big pickups. We need to end this one soon. We're going to get that value train rolling on us. So many choices. Have I bitched about concurrent timelines recently? I think Echo Zillion really overtook my place to just sit around and bitch about things. That deck's way more annoying than concurrent timelines.
Full speed ahead.
Track them down.
Okay. Do we want to go ahead and boost our dragon? I think maybe. I think we probably do, just to go ahead and get the faded boost onto it. We're most certainly going to be dropping a Zenith Blade open onto this dragon next turn. And so let's go ahead and take the faded while we can. All right, couple expensives in hand. A little scary. Come and pick up annoying shit like Hextech Transmodulators or whatever the swap a minion is. All right, we're going to be coming at him with some big overwhelms this turn. Like, if we want to spend all of our mana, we can play the third Zenith Blade on the Broadwing, still have a backup mana for a Chain Vest, and come at him from multiple angles here. Buried in the ice. Sure. We can get a little bit done this turn. Don't think he's going to be able to lethal assist. He should be reasonably far away from it. I want my Pantheon back. Oh, this Bone Crusher. He does get me thinking, though. Like, I haven't started in any of the talk about Path of Champions, and I'm not entirely sure where it stands. Now, I think if this was supposed to be, like, bad messaging, they just wouldn't have done it, right? So in terms of the Path of Champions, I think that if, like, as we saw with Expeditions, as people that just played Expedition all the time, and we were in it right from the start, we would see these things to where, you know, the Riot was like actively maintaining all of the card pools. They were adding in special card pools. They were balancing specific cards to make them more Expedition friendly. And once the lead dev left, you just saw all of that fall off. And then it got to the point to where they weren't like updating things anymore. They were no longer in the patch notes. The pools never changed. They started getting sloppy to where the appearance bonuses would never go away. It was just like the Riot-based communication for Expedition fell off the map. And I think if the messaging here was intended to be like bad, they would have just said nothing, right? I feel like if this was the new Dave Guskin, I believe is his name, the new executive producer, I feel like if this was his way of saying like, hey, I'm here, that he would have just taken a route that just says, hey guys, we're here to say we're devoting more resources to hang on. Where are we at here? I don't want him getting the spells, and then we should be safe from mana. If he's going to play a combat trick, we still have a hush. And so I think that if it was like meant to be bad, then they just would have said nothing. And he would have just said, hey, I'm the new executive producer. I played Magic for a long time. I love competitive stuff. You might have seen me on the ladder. You know, here's a statement about where I want things to be going. But they took the time to say specifically say, hey, we're swapping some things around with the Path of Champions, and I think that kind of comes with like two things. The thing that strikes me as what Riot is trying to do these days is kind of twofold. I think piece number one here we're just going to open. I mean, I hope this is good enough. That's all we can really say about this board. Get his big boy to the right, try to overwhelm over everything else. I think if Riot wanted to, they want to kind of like be inside of every game archetype. And so it's like they had League of Legends, they made the shooter, they made the card game, the MMO is in the works, the fighter is in the works. They jumped into auto battlers with Teamfight Tactics. Like I think their like number one end goal is that if you want to play a game, you can play a game with Riot branding, and they've hit the big ones now. And then thing number two with that is having things be reusable. And so if you say, look at League of Legends and Teamfight Tactics, they all have like the same character models. Let's say a lot of the movement stuff is the same. I would say that a lot of... God, we're going to be one short. Fuck. Can we hush our own unit here to get out of this? I don't think that's how it works, but... Alright. And so... right, that's very, very useful if... as far as say like matchmaking goes, they already had matchmaking stuff written for League of Legends. You should be able to port that over to other things. They have to be able to massively scale out their game to handle hundreds of thousands of people at the same time. And so whatever network technology they need, they already have written and reusable everywhere. It's just so incredibly important to have like the reusability across the board. And I think that what they've kind of ran into and what we're seeing is number one, that Path of Champions is very like reusable in this kind of card game space, right? They have the card art done, right? This Wounded White Flame looks like this on PC. It looks different on mobile. Whatever you have to do to use stuff on iOS, if you want it to look good on tablet, you want it to look good on whatever else, like all of that work has already been done. And it can be reused for all of the other card game kind of things that they might want to do. And so I just feel like in large part, when they're saying they're taking stuff away, I feel like they've gotten to the point to where this iteration of Path of Champions is in kind of like plug and play mode, as to where, okay, we need to add cards to the game. Then it's just kind of done, right? They're just like adding new configurations to the game and should be able to handle everything there. And I don't... Hang on. Can we get out of this? I mean, we can like hush through this next turn, right? The question here is, do we have to hush this turn? He blocks next turn with Trundle. I think we can still survive it. Select one of these. So ideas, we're just going to go into next turn. We're going to hush away the Feel the Rush and get the Overwhelm with Saga Seeker. Gives us an out. But no, like I think what we're seeing with like this iteration of Path of Champions is, they can continue on. They don't have to develop spend a bunch of work in developing the game and making things work and whatever else goes into it. I think that just probably doesn't need done anymore. And then my like super hot take on it is that they're going to they're going to make it a standalone game. I think it's going to get the teamfight tactics treatment, and that they're going to strip it out. And so, again, this is just my complete hot take on the situation. I think they're taking, air quote, taking away resources because the Legends of Runeterra version doesn't need work anymore in its current iteration. They're just adding new cards, they're adding new art, whatever. Then I think that they'll split it away. That's how they get into the roguelike deck builder kind of iteration. It makes a nice delineation mark between casual land and competitive land, and then it also lets them kind of rework the monetization, right? Because if you want to play Path of Champions, like how do I give Riot money for playing Path of Champions, right? I don't have to buy champions, I don't have to buy cards. Figuring out how to buy cosmetics is fucking hard to do. It's just like boards, and then, oh cool, you released like a action skin. Actions, not really in Path of Champions. You're not going to get to use that. And so I think that we're just going to see it split out. I think a lot of people take the wording that they see in these Riot posts and then get it kind of twisted a bit. You used to see when was it? Like 3 patches ago when everyone was freaking out because they were talking about like reworks to some champions, and then they turned out to not actually be reworks. They were just kind of like big balancy changes. And it was like a one sentence segment in the middle of a patch notes from like 6 months ago. And like someone repeated it on Reddit and it got repeated and like built into this big thing. And that's not really what it was. And I think that's probably what happened with the Path of Champions as well, to a degree. Like, Riot made a comment as to where, I can't remember exactly what it was, and this is exactly how these things get fucked up. But it was something that, like, in terms of either like drawing new players to the game or bringing new players to the game or retaining new players. I don't know. It would what it morphed into was it is the most popular thing on the game. And I don't think that they would just take that and throw it away. Like whatever that was, I don't think that's going anywhere. And so, I don't know. I'm getting kind of distracted and rambly. I'll get back into the Gauntlet thing. But I guess big takes out of this thing is, there's a new lead dev, a new executive producer. He likes competitive stuff. If you like competitive stuff, that's probably good for you. I think if they were doing away with Path of Champions, or it wasn't going to get any more support, or they're going to take it completely out of the game, if they didn't have some kind of solution for Path of Champions, they just wouldn't have mentioned it. I think they would have just said nothing and then just axed it down the future. And then, as my hot take, in much the vein that we saw Team Tight Tactics be kind of like melded with the core league and then pulled out, but they still share a lot of the overlap in development. I think we'll probably see the same thing with Path of Champions, as to where they pull it out. Maybe it's a standalone thing, but it's still a card game. A lot of the card game interactions, the card frames, the art, the game rules and everything are overlapped between the two. And so there's a lot of that overlap development, a lot of the overlap saved work there, and they'll take advantage of that. Ooh, okay. Had to stop. Got to drink some water after all those hot takes. Had to get my grocery order sorted out. Everything's okay now. But okay, we're gonna ban Annie Ezreal. Man, I was not expecting this much of this in the best of 3. This is just, I was expecting frozen thralls everywhere, but it's the way the dice rolls sometimes. And so yeah, we'll take out the Annie Ezreal. I think I'm like a little bit worried about the Kindred Darkness deck, but I'm not entirely sure what that's supposed to look like. But all right, we'll take out old Ezreal here. Please don't disintegrate my Illaois. Oh. I said please. Is that a Swain skin? Fuck is this? God, bringing out those scary skins. You all know I don't like that stuff. What is that? Is that Swain? Scary Swain? What is this? Bird Swain? Huh. All right. We'll keep the C's voice. See if we can't find some of our earlier plays. All right, but yeah, I intend to continue to make some of the content in the Path of Champions, and so if that's something you're interested in, we're going to be doing that. If it's not, then I don't know. Watch somebody else on those days. But we're gonna be doing it. So get ready for it. I haven't decided if I'm going to like fully commit. I had some side projects I wanted to work on that involved the Path of Champions. I think I'm probably just going to do it. So we'll see. We'll see what turns of that. I had to like stop and take a breather and kind of assess on how I felt about the situation, and I think we're just going to do it. So if you like it, we'll do stuff. If you don't like it, watch somebody else. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's not trying to be like assholey about it, but you know, there's lots of people out there making content. Give them a view. Alrighty, I feel safe with my Illaoi now. She's ready to get syncopated or twin disciplines. We got the Will of Ionia. Nice little setup build up here to get her protected. I feel like with that previous turn, we handle the damage loss better than they, or the mana loss better than they do. So this is good. It's somewhat tempting to stop the preemptive like Death's Hand. I figure that he's going to come out and drop a like Scorched Earth or something on our Illaoi or a Ravenous Flock, and that allows us to you know, kind of get around this. But let's see, a Ravenous Flock, sure. Going to Twin Disciplines first. Now, if he has a follow-up card, we'll syncopate out, and then we should be able to have her be fully healthy on the following turn. Okay. Wasn't expecting the Blighted Ravines. I had in my head that this was going to be more of a more of like a gangplanky, damagey styled thing, and not what this guy's doing here. Alright, so we can't burst in for lethal next turn, but we can get some healthy stuff done. Or, can we? What, if we Tentacle Smash, that's 3, the Eye is 5. Illaoi will spawn that up to 6. Then we'll hit for 6 plus 7? 13? I think I like the Tentacle Smash either way.
Defend yourself.
Okay. I feel like there's a good chance he tries to be mean to our Illaoi here, but this is a big chunk of damage, and then it makes all of our units scary from this point. Fizzle. Okay. I like it. Now we can get, it's great being in this spot to where you can be lethal with like a Fortune Croaker. And so makes me a little happy. Let's see what kind of shenanigans he's going to try and pull off with the Sejuani. We can grow bigger than Sejuani if we need to. He played the wrong one as well. I guess he's got a Fury of the North in his hand. But I think we just let this happen. And then we can try and get a kill next turn with 2 units from the Buru Lookout.
Let us meet dark skies with bright
Preemptive Avalanche. Okay. Gonna be something lame next turn, I can already tell you that. Alright, let's see where this gets us.
Leave no survivors.
So far, we're lethal. Taking down Sejuani while we're at it. GG. Mark it a W for bust. Give it a wowie for a lowie. Don't people say shit like that? It feels like something if I was like 12 years old I'd come up with and be real proud of myself. Wowie for a lowie. All right, and then the switch to Kindred. See how this goes. We at least got a bit of early gameplay here. I'll go ahead and get rid of the sharp sight. See where we get from there. This should be like, I would imagine this is the kind of deck that plays a lot of like Vile Feasty kind of cards. I'm hoping that we can get some good usage out of the heals and out of the Chain Vests, protect us a little bit from Disintegrate style cards. Alright, not ready to party with the minion though. We can party now. I wonder if this deck plays Scorched Earth. That's like Ravenous Flock is shouldn't be too big of a deal. Scorched Earth kind of is. All right. We got the Pale Cascade boost for this turn. Alright. He really needs to have a Vile Feast here. That feels like a very aggressive catalog. Oh, I'll allow it if he's got it. Let's chunk in this extra hit of damage with the White Flame. Zenith Blade was a pretty good draw. We're getting pretty close to the lethal. Okay. Go hard, sure. So do we want to gem our Mountain Goat at the first opportunity? Like I'm Pantheon is like I'm definitely gonna Zenith Blade. But if we Zenith Blade, then we start to fall out of Bastion range. He doesn't have the ability to play Vengeance right now, though. So I think this is okay. I think we want a Dragon. I'm going to go ahead and Bird. And then next turn we can open with a Gem. And then hit for 1,000,000. Be ready for Bastions on and try and win on the next attack. I think that's good. Drain 2, you got it. You had a Captain Farron in there. I don't want to see that. Don't be sending Captain Farrons my way. Can we ever lethal with this Cataclysm? I don't think we can on this turn. Maybe on next turn. Again, I think we need to save this Bastion mana in case he tries to drop a Vengeance on us. Okay. Interesting. We just win this turn? Let's give it a shot. seems good. Feels good. I like the way it smells. I don't think that helps you, dude. Does it get him out of a cataclysm? Apparently it does. Okay. That was lame. I did the mathematics on that one. It was actually very lame. He's out of mana. That's not that scary anymore. Let's just go ahead and drop Pantheon. Bring him in with an open next turn. Did you hit anything cool, my dude? Lifesteal, Elusive, Challenger, Fury, Augment. Okay. I did note if our opponent has mana. They do not. Makes me feel a little bit safer. Let's get the squad in here. Vengeance. Just play the Vengeance. It makes it makes the game so easy when we get to counter that big spell. Play something irrelevant. That's what I love to say. Withering Wail and a Vile Feast. Okay. Game says lethal. Neg 10. He's at 9. Whew. All right. Let's get ourselves in that final battle.
The gods see they can bleed. They know they can die.
You hang out, bud? Oh, you brought me a mouse? No, kitties. Kitties are so nice. This one like howls. He picks up a mouse. He runs around with the mouse in his mouth. And just like... it's like a little bit short of the cat and heat noise. It's not like the wow, 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 but it's kind of close and similar to it. But okay. Okay, what are we doing against this lineup? I feel pretty good against the Sun Disk with everything. I'm never banning out the Sun Disk here. I don't think we want to deal with it's tough, right? The high rolliest deck he has is this Tryndamere Aurelian Soul. That's the Targon's Peak ramp deck. It's like I'm kind of okay with playing against it to a degree. Like the only deck we have that's like really susceptible to the AoEs is the Aphelios Fizz, and I don't think that deck really appreciates playing against Fizz. And so we could be okay there. I'm leaning towards just banning the Illaoi so we don't have to play the mirror match. But it's like I see a deck playing Soraka and I'm just like, oh, your cards are so bad. You're so bad. But that might actually be a reasonable matchup against the Aphelios Fizz. And so let's take out the Illaoi. No Illaois for anyone today. All right. Start with the Fizz. All right, what do we got? Well, we at least get a Lantern start, which is pretty big, but we got a mulligan for some action here. We're up against the Sun Disk, and so need to be a little bit more aggressive than the Pokey Sticks bring.
Only a fool would enter battle unprepared.
Okay, so the angle we're going to look to take here is I'm going to open with the Dustbringer, follow up with the Grandfather Fae, and then on the following turn we'll do a Gleaming Lantern plus something. We'll see where we get from there. It's one of the more unfortunate lines he could have, but it's not horrible. See if he has a 3/3 here. Soothsayer, ooh. This does not feel like a good draw for opponent. looking at next, like I'm gonna want to drop the assistant librarian here, open, and then next turn we'll outcat into Aphelios so that we get the moon weapons going of our choice. Pretty good start.
All are welcome.
Really? Are you gonna have? I don't know how recommended that is.
Follow the yellow light. Easy.
Can't survive the assistant librarian hit. Okay.
No more hiding.
Don't think I know that one.
All right. Well, this seems okay for Team Bust. Let's put it out there. This seems like a fairly good turn. Now, what we're gonna start building ourselves to is like, what moon weapon do we want to take? I think we're gonna look to go with the Calibrum, and then probably into Gravitum for a double stun, so we can take one of these units off the board next turn, and then be ready with the double stun on the following turn. I don't think we need to go for Infernum, and then we're definitely gonna have the full board to where we don't need the 2-cost unit.
The brighter my light, the stronger your shadow.
Okay, I like it.
Ease your worries.
Gonna heal right through that. Need to we need to get our Nightfall for our spells. Uh-oh, changed his mind. Says, I ain't doing that, Bust. I ain't doing that. Alright, Gravitum. I will gladly play you on this turn, given the chance.
See as I see. Are you ready? Let's take it for a spin.
I didn't want to open with it. It's like I kind of like to protect our Grandfather Fae if we can. But he's not playing in the manner that lets that be nice. So, I mean, if we just open now... What's our 3 smalls? We'd get in for 6. But I think if we don't open, we're going to start running into problems. And he's like nowhere near flipping his stuff. Xerath is going to be a flippable. Maybe that was a mistake to not drop the Gravitum last turn. Here's the answer, right? The Winding Light is the answer here. Let's not overlook the power of just dropping the giant dragon. Yay, look how big my units are. Okay. That seems good.
Not in my city.
You can quicksand out of a bit of this, but it was a pretty big boom. Oh man, I was gonna cupcake it. Oh god, I don't even know if we have our emotes. Uh-oh. Can I check my loadout without conceding? I'm scared now. I was feeling pretty good about this. Exit lobby. That sounds like we're gonna lose the game if we do that. Alright. Yeah, I hope what are we doing? I hope it's not lost. There we go. Get that tracker back up here. Okay, well, gotta get on board going and early, so let's keep the Wounded White Flame, see if we can't find some more bros. Broadwing is a good pickup. The Broadwing plus Iron Vest or Chain Vest is pretty strong against this. They have a lot of units you can pick on with these early game challenges.
If it's made of sand, I can write.
Okay.
Oh dear.
think we're going to look to play this just a little bit off curve. The Soothsayer hook it to Broadwing is whatever. Not a lot we can do about that. But now we should be able to go into the next turn, add the Wounded White Flame, and then be ready with Pale Cascades. Excellent, excellent. So many Broadwings. Is this how we want to do it? Is there a world where we want to keep the sarcophagus away from him? We have a couple of options, right? We can go for the big damage play with the Pale Cascade. Like, I think we have to Pale Cascade this turn. It's just a matter of, do we want to let him get this? Like, I'm considering doing this, right? Here, here, here. And then we Pale Cascade onto our Broadwing so that it takes down the Soothsayer. And then he doesn't get a sarcophagus out of this. I think this is the way to go about it. So we aren't doing a lot to get like the big faded plays going. We're really just building to the Pantheon by making plays like this. Seems okay though. We need like a Zenith Blade for this to start popping off. Does have the right of the Arcane. Say bust. Your plays are the juiciest. Say it. You can say it to yourselves. Maybe you're on like a bus or something. if you could just saying stuff like this out loud while you're on public transportation, I think it's a good idea. I think you should probably do that. But here, I'm going to start to Yuumi up the White Flame. I'm going to look to bury or hook the Endless Devout down now. Oh shit! I pushed the wrong button. Okay. It's not the end of the world, but this would certainly be better if our Yuumi was on the dragon. Little whoopsies. Maybe we just don't use Fated this whole game. Maybe. Alright. See what we can do here. I mean, it doesn't feel like the worst spot in the world, but definitely a whoopsies. Get him for 7. All right. Nice bit of width we've established, though. Zenith Blade again. That would be the choice draw. Let us have a flipped Pantheon for our next attack. But all right. How close is he to the movie now? We're about to watch it. That's that's how close he is. The Sun Disk doesn't flip until next turn, though. That's probably important to note. Needs another Clockling or something to pull that off. But go grab some popcorn and get ready for it. We're about to we're about to see the movie. What are we going to do here? This is like kind of an odd pass. I want to play a spell. We need another spell to get Pantheon flipped, and so if we draw a spell next turn, we can flip him. This is kind of a real downside to the miss on Yuumi. I don't want him to be able to come in and just hook the Broadwing. I think this is where our bonuses go. If he comes in and now hooks Yuumi, I think I'm okay with that. Doesn't do it. All right, buckle up. See y'all in 10. All right, we're back. Single combat. All right. What you got for us, my dude? We need a big old Pantheon here. Give us a Scout, Impact, Elusive. That's how we're going to do it.
I will make the gods remember this day.
What you got?
The gods will know war.
Impact, Quick Attack, Elusive, Lifesteal, Challenger. Feel like that's going to be enough. We can take this hook into Azir, but I mean he's already developed the Sun Disc.
God Emperor, your will is ours to obey.
As with all Shurima.
Well, we'll see. If we hit a choice collection of fates, then we should be fine. If he has a quicksand, then we're just kind of done for. Hourglass. All right, we get a chunk of damage in. We're gonna lose some shit to Xerath, but maybe. All right. And so yeah, I don't know if we would have won that game if we hadn't misclicked our Yuumi. It would have certainly made things better. There's no denying that. We could have sequenced that a little better. We could have still had a big unit there at the end. But not ideal. But hey, you got to make the best of it, right? Misclicks happen. It's part of the game. You just have to say, okay, this is the board now. How do I win this game with this new information? Because the information I thought I had is non-existent. Okay, well, I do like these aggressive starts against the ramp deck. We have to really get out in front and get into things. I kind of only want to keep one Broadwing, though. Well, maybe we get rid of the Bright Steel. It's just like I don't want to play too heavily into the AoEs. Okay, we'll hang on to the Broadwings. Looking for a dragon. Boom it. All right. It's a nice little target for a Zenith Blade, should we want to. Looks like we're going to want to. Oh my gosh. There we go. Buttons are mishmashing and messing up everywhere. We never lose on our own. It's only through the misclicks and stuff that we end up losing games. As Phil Hellmuth says, if luck wasn't involved, I would win every time. You got the peak? All right. Oh, boy. Let's get ready for it. Let's get ready for it. A little scared. He hits a single combat, not quite relevant. We can get a pretty big board.
Who would face me?
Got a free Tryndamere. Okay. Might be able to attack around him next turn. I don't remember if the Hush interaction with Tryndamere works how we want it to work. To where he just dies and stuff. I thought there used to be a weird interaction with Tryndamere and Hush. I don't quite remember if that's the case or not. Alright. Let's boom. What do we hit? Single combat and then the Hush is free now? It's like if he hits... Alright, I think we just gotta bring it. It's just like too easy for him to have another gigantic play here. If he has like an Aurelian Soul or something, we can still kind of deal with this. Next turn, right? We can Hush down the Tryndamere and then get a block in. Did we mess that up? Can we get a Cataclysm play out of this? That was the other kind of option there, right? Is if we're playing Hush and then getting a Cataclysm. Our Hush is free. Our single combat is free. Single combat's too big for Weirding Stones, though. But we can say get 2 from the Sharp Sight. The gem, unfortunately, doesn't help the Broadwing, though. 7. Am I missing anything here? No, our dudes don't have Faded. 7 into that, we're going to be 1 short. Huh. Man, maybe we should have hushed the Tryndamere. Alright, we'll have to just see if we can't build into it next turn, I guess. I feel like we probably punted this one. Battle Fury. I'm glad. Am I glad we didn't make our Cataclysm play? I think we just have to do it now. We can't just leave that unit laying around. Can we? Alright, let's leave it. It should be tough for him to kill us this turn. I think we might be able to get something out of this. We can just straight up block the Weirding Stones. We have some options. Now those options are a lot worse. So we definitely have to win through the Weirding Stones. I don't know. Maybe we can fade it up the Pantheon big enough now, but not happy with this. Is that our angle? So it's like we can... Oh, we don't even have enough blockers now, right? We need an additional unit to play. All right, that's that one's on me. That's on me for not being familiar enough with how this works. I don't know if I'm. I think what I'm thinking of used to be a bug, as to where if you hush a Tryndamere, then he would still come back. I think that was a bug that happened in the past, and that's getting stuck in my head. I think the way that we should have approached that one was looking to get a Cataclysm kill, and I think we should have hushed that Tryndamere. That would have gotten us through an additional point of damage, and then we could have looked to have gotten a kill with the Cataclysm. And I think that's what left us a little bit short there. But that's also a big factor there is the Pantheon deck is not one that I've played a ton. And so I do concede that I'm most definitely not the world's best Pantheon player, and I'm sure someone would have come up with a better line than what I would have been able to do there. But I think that was something that was real in the past, as to where Hush and Tryndamere had some kind of interaction, and then I only read about it, and I'm not used to playing against these cards, and it kind of stuck in my head. But it's a little unfortunate. I feel like a better player would have won that one, but we also kind of ran into the nightmare scenario where they have the turn 4 Targon's Peak and then actually have good cards to hit with it, right? The dream scenario is they don't have the Targon's Peak. The good scenario is they hit like Avalanche on their Targon's Peak, And with that one, he hit both Tryndamere and Feel the Rush with it, and so it's a little bit challenging to deal with. He actually hit. I mean, he did have two of those things on the board, but he hit Tryndamere, and Feel the Rush on it, which is understandably challenging to beat. But nonetheless, going back to the lineup, that's what we think is probably the most important thing about these. I mean, I think this is strong. The problem here is what like really gets me with Runeterra, though. I don't think it's a complaint. I think it's actually more of a problem than a good thing, and that the meta stays so wide and so far apart. Like historically, with games like Magic, like in Standard, there would be like 3 or 4 big decks or 5 big decks, and then in Modern, things didn't really. Things were more spread out, but you actually have sideboard options, and so you get to kind of like pick a deck to play into a format, and then you have like a little bit more play in what you're good and bad against, even though the format's so varied. And what to me that gets you to start running into is when you're playing these events like Gauntlet, it's very tough to design a lineup outside of a good Dex lineup, and so. What I mean with that is we made the lineup to focus on Pantheon. We didn't see a single copy. We made concessions in our archetype list for the Frozen Thralls deck. We didn't see a single copy, and then we did run into a ton of Annie decks and Ezreal decks, which I'm really surprised we got as far as we did. Running into some of those nightmare matchups over and over again. And so, that's what I'm saying, and it's tough. I feel like as you go to an event like Seasonals, a lot of these decks get kind of like weeded out, and you don't see as much stuff like Kindred Swain or whatever some of that stuff we ran into was. But it's ultimately very tough to meta against these things when there's like 15 viable decks, or I don't think we should like. It's odd calling it kind of like viable decks, but there's just like so many options. You can't like realistically tune a lineup. There's so much variance that goes into the matchups that you play, and I ultimately think it's pretty interesting if you look at something like Dr. LOR puts out some info every once in a while on. Based on kind of like win rate and play rate and how the matchups fall out, what the meta should actually look like. And the metas should technically kind of fall into a rock, paper, scissors kind of thing, right? To where there's never just like 2 good decks because it's just not the way it works. There has to be 3 good decks. And he's sort of able to kind of like mathematically come up with that, and it's always really interesting when he puts out those numbers, and you get to see as to where basically like Aphelios, Fizz, and Pantheon are the 2 big decks of the format and should be like 25% of the meta each. But if you go and look at the meta reports, they sit at like 5 and 6 and 7%, and it's always super interesting to me as to why that's the case. If we look at Magic and Hearthstone and all of the other card games, they all converge. But it doesn't happen in Runeterra, and I don't know if that's due to the age of the game or the information that's out there or the number of players, or just it's a function of the frequent balance changes. I'm not exactly sure why that comes about, and I think it would be kind of interesting from someone that is able to speak to that academically. But it's always, to me, kind of frustrating in terms of setting up these lineups and then things. It's not even a matter of like things not working out. It's just very odd the way that they come together. But nonetheless, I think this was a good one. I thought this was a good set of games. We were pretty successful, even though the matchups didn't fall how we wanted or expected them to. And I do think this is a pretty strong good cards lineup, even though these aren't decks that I've played a ton of. I feel pretty confident with Fairies. I feel pretty confident with Illaoi. I admittedly have not played nearly as much Yuumi Pantheon as I should have in my time. But I think realistically going into any best of 3, a Aphelios Fizz plus Yuumi Pantheon plus something else is going to have the power it takes to take you far. But nonetheless, my voice is starting to go, my throat is starting to get fuzzy, and that is going to do it for us today. And so I hope everyone enjoyed the video. You learned how to wowie with Illaoi a little bit better. You maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.